Welcome back. We're going to try and get this running today. Now the things I got to do is I got to find a battery. I've got a donor battery just off camera. We're going to make sure that's charged up. I'm going to replace the old Optima red top that's here from 15, 17 years ago. Either way, pretty sure it's dead. We're not going to mess with it. We're just going to pull it out, set it aside for now. And we're going to pop the top on the distributor and see what's cooking in there. After that, I got to grab a timing light. Got to prove that the fuel pump still pumps fuel. You know, the little stuff. I'll bring you updates as we go along, so that way you can see what we're doing. This is the inside of the distributor with the rotor removed. The rotor just sits on those two screws. Basically, this is the Pertronix points eliminator. You remove the points condenser, and it gets replaced with this reluctor ring and that little black magnetic pickup. Pulled it apart. Everything looks like it's where it should be. I mean, yeah, it's loose, but it's meant to have the rotor tightened down against it so it holds the flying magnets up where you've got the mag pickup down there. So, quick verifying, it's okay. Gonna put the rotor back on, make sure the underside of the the distributor cap looks okay. Whoop, there we go. And we're gonna continue onward. I think next I gotta check to make sure that it's gonna crank and we got fuel. So I tried to start the Riviera on a borrowed battery and the starter goes, thought, what the heck's wrong with that? So I took the starter off and found something rather telling. Let's see if I can show you. See that crack right there on the starter solenoid? Yeah, everything moves around. So I'm pretty sure we're not getting great power to the starter. I got a new starter solenoid from Napa. Let's get it in place and let's see if we can make this car start. All right, for those playing along at home, to get the starter solenoid off, you got screw there, a screw there, and this right here is a screw with a spacer on it, and that attaches all the the part that really carries the current into the starter. That makes everything do its job. So let's just start disassembling this guy and I'll show you what it looks like once it comes apart. So the further I pulled this apart, the more comical it got. The bake light was just completely falling apart and it just fell apart. So we've got the new one over on this side, bright and shiny new. I'm gonna have to clean up that starter a little bit because I don't feel good about putting that nice pretty thing on that kind of ugly greasy thing. Anyways, comes with the spring, comes with all the nuts and bolts you need to, put everything back together correctly, because that's always a pain at times. So, I'm just going to get starter cleaned up and get that guy installed right there. The new solenoid is now attached to the old starter. Word of advice, make sure you figure out what size your terminals are before you get into the car. Just found out that these guys are metric, and that one is standard at a, what did I decide that was? 9/16? Yeah, 9/16. So, yeah. Oh, also, this starter is set up a little bit more like a small block Chevy, but the original one had a big old standoff on this lug. So I just got, creative with a Sawzall, removed the piece of copper from the old lug, drilled it clear through, and used, I believe that's a 1032 or a 1024 screw, which is a factory thread pitch. There's the original one. It just threads into the new starter solenoid. I'm going to dive under the car. I'm going to fight with wiring for a while on these three terminals. We'll see what happens after that. I'll be honest, there's no good way to get those wires on. You kind of have to reach up between, the starter, the steering rack, or you move over a little bit and you got, the frame and the steering components. But I promise it can be done, and I'll show you what I did that really helped that out. But a couple of 5/8 bolts hold the starter to the block, got that squared up. Let me show you the cool thing I just found to help put those guys on. Now, it's no secret that I love my 3/8 inch electric ratchet. I needed a 1-inch extension, which is a little hard to come by in my toolbox. So I found a wobbly, wrapped it with electrical tape, and it was rigid enough to do what I needed it to do. So keep that in mind, guys. Tape a wobbly and it becomes stiffer. As with anything when restoring classic vehicles, sometimes you come across stuff that you don't want to have to deal with, but you know you have to. This is one of those things. This is the wiring that runs from up on the fender well down to the starter these are the two wires that carry the signal from the switch to say start. So as you can see, that guy is kinked, the insulation is broke, and the ring terminal popped clean off. That was one of those things that I was adjusting, getting things where I wanted it. I heard crunch and tug, and it was like, so we're gonna just cut this up, section the pieces that need to be added, add some fresh wire down here near the starter where it's hot, crunchy. Up here, we're in good enough shape to reuse it. So I'm just gonna take a piece in the middle and redo the wires. Got it finished. I know it's not period correct, but it makes me feel better because it's all one piece. You can take it out. It's completely its own entity. But yeah, I just added a chunk of yellow wire, spliced in some off-color wire, but kept the purples on both ends. So that way, if you're ever looking at it with a wiring diagram, it looks totally correct. Heat shrink also isn't period correct, but it's functional. Plus, it's probably going to wind up in some fabric overbraid anyways. You're never going to see it. But the point is, you can see it now, and I'm kind of proud of it because I've never done this before. So, continuing on. Before we climb into the car and start putting things back together, that, I believe, is the original battery cable, which runs from this lug here, which comes over to the battery, which isn't quite there yet, and then runs down to the starter, way down under that exhaust manifold. Anyways, so as you can see, the original connection was getting crappy. And I've put the key to this. It doesn't really want to spin quick enough for me to want to fire it up like that. So we got a new battery cable. This is a 1 gauge, came from a local Tractor Supply with the 3/8 lugs. Let's get it wrapped around things into place. It kind of goes from there down around the steering box into the starter. So you can see that's the first time it's been out of the garage under its own power in like 15 years. Absolutely stunning car. And the good news was I was able to have my son Riker with me pretty much all day today while we brought it back to life. Now this is the first time it fired, first time it's driven. We had to add a lot of ATF after that transmission service, but, oops, sorry.
Yeah, sun's
Yep, sun's bright. Try not to squint. It's not working so well. Anyways, it's out. Yeah, there's some things we still got to do with it. It's got a coolant leak now. Can't say I'm surprised. I'll show you what's going on there. Got to get the correct size battery because I borrowed that battery out of a different car, a race car, 1964 Buick Special, back there, hiding way back there. Huge battery, wrong battery, but we were able to fire the car and take care of a couple of things. So as you can see, an absolutely stunning car. So until next time, we'll do a walk around of it, show you what's it about. But for now, thanks for watching. I realize this has been kind of a disjoint video. It's taken a few weeks and parts and pieces and this and that and little fiddly stuff, but I'm pleased that it drove out under its own power. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time.
They don't build them like that anymore.